All right, we are back for another day of communication tips. I'm here with Joseph. We are still at this communicating event. We have not been here for this many days in a row, right? It's part of the YouTube world. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at one of the topics we talked about earlier, which is speaking without knowing your audience. And we alluded to this a little bit earlier, but this is just showing up and saying it, not doing any research to who's sitting down, not caring about who's listening. You're just showing up for you and saying the message you want to say. How did this show up in your early days of communicating?
This showed up in my early days when people never gave me feedback. They would always say, "Oh, great message." But the messages that I know that are most important are the ones when people give me real feedback right after the message. John Maxwell talks about events being great. A lot of people say, "Oh, that was such a great message," or "That was such a great event." He would say, "No, that was good. And the only reason why it's good is because I don't know if people walked away with action and applied it to their life." And so real feedback to me says, "Hey, I needed that message. I know what I'm doing, and this is how I'm going to apply it." I've had so many people come up to me recently and say, a week from what I just preached on Sunday, "Hey, I'm flipping the script. That was my title message. Hey, I got to trust the process. I got to trust Jesus." And those are the best messages that I know, man, I communicated something effectively that made an impact in someone's life. That's because I knew my audience.
Yeah, I think that's so good. I think a lot of times when we don't get the response, we can't make the adjustments.
Yes.
And so in the beginning, when you're first starting to communicate, I think you should be open to feedback, because the people who are a little further along than you are in communication often are sitting in the audience, and they can give you feedback on what they heard. You can't always see the different perspectives when you're standing on the stage.
Yes.
And so you need to be open to that feedback. So one of the things that sounded to me like when you just told us about that was that you were hungry for feedback.
Yes.
You were hungry to grow. Now that might not be all of you. Sometimes you're not hungry from feedback. Sometimes you don't want feedback because you just want to pretend like everything's okay, or you don't want to get your feelings hurt. But I think that's really a part of the growing process.
Yes.
We got to be willing to put ourselves out there and ask for tough feedback. But ask for tough feedback from people who care about us.
Yes.
Super important.
Yes.
Right? So once we start getting that feedback, then we start to see the response of the audience. And then that helps us make a move.
Yes.
And then they make a move, and we make a move. And all of a sudden you start getting this audience connection. Now, to a little bit a different side of the topic, what if you're going somewhere that you don't know the audience, or you've never gotten feedback for? For you, it'd be maybe you're preaching to a new environment. What are some thoughts there about the audience?
Yeah, so whoever's hosting me, whoever's inviting me to come, I'm asking questions. Hey, what does your audience need right now? How can I encourage your audience? How can I come alongside and add value to your audience? And I actually heard a story of Alex Hormozi. He had a plan to give a speech the next day, but one of the things that he did was go out to dinner with the audience, and because of their conversations, he changed his message the day before he spoke, because he knew sitting with the audience, the message that I have prepared is not going to serve them. And so it was because he placed himself within the audience, had dinner with them, he knew what he needed to speak. And so if you're being hosted by someone, if someone's inviting you, you need to ask good questions. Actually, as a matter of fact, ask great questions. And if you have the time, go have dinner with the audience, especially if you're there for a 3-day event. Where are the people going? Know who is in your audience so that you know how to serve them.
Man, it's so good. And too many times we prepare in a bubble, right? We prepare in a bubble what is resonating with us. But to what you just said, real conversations lead to content that resonates.
Yes.
And I think we got to lean into that. And we got to say, how many real conversations am I having about people who would potentially be in my audience?
Yes.
You know, in our communication training, we talk about 3 questions when we're looking at our audience. Number 1 is, who are they? Who are they? Where are they from? Where do they live right now? What is their environment? What does that look like? The second question is, what do they care about? What season of life are they in, and what is important to them in this season? And then the third thing is, what are they struggling with? Right? What are they struggling with? If you don't go have those real conversations, you're not going to know the answer to any of those questions.
Yeah. And right there, what are you struggling with? You're finding the problem to solve.
There, you starting to see these? Remember Joseph's feedback, connect the dots is what he got. That's what you're starting to do. Even just listening to these over a few days, you're starting to connect the dots. You want a message that resonates? Understand your audience, bring your core message, and solve their problem.
That's it.
Whew, man, I'll tell you what, this is some good content. This is some fire. I hope it's helping you. I hope that you're enjoying it. Communication is not something we spend a lot of time on this channel so far, but we're going to spend a ton of time on it moving forward because, as Joseph and I both know, this is a big topic. Well, we've got another one for you. We'll see you tomorrow.